The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the set of my show, The Right Side, a special edition tonight. I want to take a minute to talk about an issue that is absolutely infuriating. And I have spoken about this on the peripheral, at least, a few times over the last couple of weeks. Coming to you, by the way, from smack dab in the middle of the fruited plain, and talking about an issue that affects you no matter where you live. Now, I'm going to reference the state of Kansas. This issue is infuriating on many levels, and you'll hear all about it here in just a second. I'm just going to take about 10 minutes of your time. But I am going to unleash hell on the feckless, RINO, fake Republican leadership that we have in Kansas, who has sold out our state to illegal immigrants and billionaires. So I'm going to zero in on the outrageous Kansas House of Representatives vote to keep taxpayer-funded tuition for undocumented criminal immigrants, while American citizen families drowned in debt and property tax. But it's not just all of that. It's the spineless so-called Republican leaders like Speaker Dan Hawkins and Senate President Ty Masterson, to a degree, who let all of this happen. Masterson's running for governor, ladies and gentlemen. We can't reward these swamp establishment cronies with higher office. Look, Senator Mike Thompson and I had a chat about this. Mike Thompson is one of the good guys, by the way. A true Republican who tipped me off about this a week or so ago. And he's been fighting tooth and nail about it. Now, let's just hit the facts hard and straight from this week's headlines. Senate Bill 254 and SB 254 passed the Senate 30-9 back on January 28th of 26, right? And that aimed to ban most public benefits for those who are here unlawfully, illegally, including ending the 2004 law that gave illegals in-state tuition if they graduated from a Kansas high school and pledged that they would pursue citizenship. Right. Senate President Ty Masterson championed all of that, called it enforcement of federal law. But when it reached the House, total capitulation under Speaker Dan Hawkins. This is on his watch, ladies and gentlemen. I have seen so much weak leadership. Redistricting, does that ring a bell? Well, we have too many no votes, and they're not just no votes, they're strong no votes. So little Danny didn't want to call a vote so that we, the people, could understand and know which of our representatives voted yes or no for the redistricting plan. Dan Hawkins doesn't want to call a vote. We don't want to be, we don't want to look ridiculous. It's not about looking ridiculous, Dan. It's about giving the people what they deserve, a yes or no vote of their representatives, so that we can make a decision about how we want to vote at the polls when we go to vote. So on February 3rd, the House leaders fast-tracked it to the floor, this new bill, skipping committee meetings, skipping debates, and skipping public input. A shady move that was orchestrated by Dan Hawkins. This guy is a RINO through and through. Then on February 5th, you've got Representative Bob Lewis from Garden City, a supposed Republican who's now officially self-proclaimed himself as a RINO by sponsoring this betrayal, offering an amendment to gut the bill and protect those tuition perks for illegals. And shockingly, it passed unanimously. Not one no vote in the Kansas House. If this doesn't tell you that Kansas has a RINO problem deep in our soil, I don't know what will. This is absolutely infuriating. You almost have no words when you hear things like this. So the amended bill flew through 86 to 36 with way too many GOP members joining the Commune Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, to keep the giveaway alive for illegal criminal immigrants. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't see anybody running for governor, Scott Schwab, Phil Sarnecki, Joy Aiken, none of them. I don't, except for Charlotte O'Hara and myself, I don't see anybody screaming from the mountaintops about this BS. Reports from the Sunflower State Journal and the Kansas Reflector, they all slam the rushed process. They call it a miscarriage of justice. Democrats like Representative Ruzu, really, comrade, praising it as compassion, while Loud Light Kansas crowded out on social media that in-state tuition was defended by the people and for the people. The Kansas House just voted unanimously to advance a bipartisan amendment that keeps higher education accessible and affordable for undocumented students across our state. Affordable? Sure it is. It's affordable to them because we, the taxpayers, are paying for it. This is betrayal on steroids, ladies and gentlemen. Representative Lewis's amendment rewards lawbreakers, and it gives them discounts worth thousands of dollars at schools like KU, while citizens and K-State, EMAW, K-State, while citizens like us struggle with 10,000 plus annual costs for education. And then just yesterday, Attorney General Chris Kobach, one of the good guys, issued a scathing opinion about all of this. Kansas law violates 1996 federal statutes prohibiting this exact same kind of benefit unless it's offered to all United States citizens. So Kobach warns of upcoming lawsuits, and calls all of this a magnet for illegals into the state of Kansas, costing us dearly. If I were governor, day one executive orders ordering the National Guard and the Kansas Highway Patrol to work with Tom Homan and Kristi Noem and ICE to get the illegals out. And then I'd deal with other executive orders to shut this nonsense down. I would work directly with Chris Kobach. And I'd work with people like Mike Thompson, a real conservative who's fighting this, the one who alerted me to this a couple of weeks ago. And I want to just, the real villains here, Dan Hawkins, he's not one of us. He's not on our side, folks. Ty Masterson, feckless leadership that let all of this slide. And it's not just this. I'll talk about the Super Bowl deal. I always have. We've got a Republican super majority on paper. They could have crushed this, but they caved in. And I just wonder, maybe to business lobbies craving cheap labor in the state, maybe from these illegal immigrants, woke activists, the Koch brothers. Which governor candidate is going to refuse to take money from the Koch brothers? Which governor candidate is going to talk about that model and that problem? Ty Masterson's eyeing the governor's office. He announced back in July. Talks tough on immigration. He oversees a Senate that might now fold on reconciliation with this whole thing. And Dan Hawkins, he's complicit in this tuition travesty. And worse of all, both of these men, Ty Masterson, Dan Hawkins, were weak-kneed about negotiating with our commune socialist, formerly known as Democrat Governor Laura Kelly. Feckless leadership and a shady behind-the-doors, locked doors, private meetings about bringing the Kansas City Chiefs to Kansas. This has nothing to do with about being a fan of the Chiefs, which I am. This has everything to do with leadership being transparent to the people. You know the deal. December 22nd, 2025, they all gathered around and made a great photo op for the $4.4 billion project, including $1.8 billion in star bonds. Star bonds are not our friend, ladies and gentlemen. To build a domed stadium in Wyandotte County, plus practice facilities in Olathe, all without a public vote. That's over $3 billion in taxpayer exposure with debt and maintenance given away without letting you have a vote or a say in the matter. That's Ty Masterson. That's Dan Hawkins. Do we want to keep these men in office, part of the swamp? Do we want to reward one of them with a higher office? I mean, critics from both parties have criticized that Chiefs deal as a tax giveaway for billionaires. I've said it from day one of the deal. As soon as I saw them on television, I knew right away, photo op for a governor candidate and a RINO House Speaker. The economic claims that they're claiming that it would bring to Kansas are exaggerated and riskier than what you know, or what they're saying. Hawkins out there saying the Chiefs deal is a win-win for the Chiefs fans and taxpayers. BS, Dan. Masterson called it Kansas winning the Super Bowl. BS, Ty. I have nothing against Ty Masterson personally. I've met him. I've sat next to him at governor question and answer sessions. This is crony capitalism. Secret meetings handing billions to the Hunt family while Kansans get the bill. And now giving Kansas taxpayer money to illegal immigrants. No transparency, no referendum, just elite deals behind closed doors with purposeful no votes. This is swamp rot, ladies and gentlemen. Hawkins, Masterson, Lewis, Representative Lewis from Garden City ought to be ashamed of himself. Garden City, you're a beautiful part of the state. Vote this clown out, enabling illegals, perks, billionaires, bailouts, betraying the conservative movement. Where is the state GOP on this? Have they said anything? Do they have any comment on this at all? Well, we can't speak badly of Republicans, Doug. You know, Reagan's 11th commandment. We're not speaking badly about Republicans. We're speaking badly about RINOs. Masterson, again, wants to be governor. No way, not anymore. We can't elevate these establishment cronies who prioritize deals over the people. And as far as I know, it's only Charlotte O'Hara and I out there talking like this to the people. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a big deal. And this is where we need to engage in what I call determined patriotism, the hard work of recovering the state and the republic to true conservatism. And you need to look hard and fast at the candidates running for office in the state and wherever you live. You need populist political outsiders who can light up the room with the way they speak with passion, conviction, and boldness, and being unapologetic in their approach to all of this. We don't need somebody who's built multi-billion-dollar businesses. We need somebody who can talk to the people. Call your representatives immediately. Demand that they stand with Mike Thompson against this giveaway to illegals. Primary the RINOs out and support, again, real political outsiders, conservatives, America First, Trump, MAGA candidates. And support Chris Kobach, by the way, in his lawsuits. We can't forget Chris. He's doing great work. Look, we're not defeated, ladies and gentlemen. Patriots like Mike Thompson and you, all of you conservatives listening, all of you who are on the right side, rise up. Faith, family, freedom, and God. And don't forget to head over to YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. There's 156,000 people subscribe to my YouTube channel, waiting for you to join us. It's free. Doesn't cost a dime. I'll never charge you to watch this program. But we need to keep each other informed. Share this. Share it widely. Share it aggressively. We are in this thing together. Believe it. For Kansas and for the Republic. God bless you. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.